Hey, everybody, and welcome into another one of our draft previews as the draft is coming up here in just about a month. Today, we're joined by Jordan Reid, one of the absolute best out there, does amazing stuff for ESPN. And today, we're talking specifically about defensive back. And Jordan, before we jump in, how you doing? We're in the home stretch here. You've been working on this stuff for months and months. How's your brain doing right now?
I'm trying to function as best as I can right now, even though it is challenging, especially we're under a month now until the draft. So just trying to get to the finish line and getting ready to unwrap those Christmas presents that every NFL fan wants to unwrap to see what's under the tree.
Yes, sir. Well, it's almost here. Well, like I mentioned, we're talking about defensive back specifically today. And let's say the Chiefs want to go defensive back, so either corner or safety at number 9 overall. Who are some names that could make some sense?
Well, two that come to mind for me is Mansour Delane out of LSU. I think he is the best cornerback in this year's draft. And coming over from Virginia Tech to LSU last season, he was phenomenal. I mean, you can look up the stats for yourself. Only allowed 13 catches all of last season. He was absolutely terrific in every single phase, all the way from the Clemson game to the end of the season. So I think he's one player that I think would be great for that number 9 overall pick. And one player who I think is one of the better players in this year's draft is Caleb Downs out of Ohio State. Him coming over from Alabama to Ohio State is very rare to see a player have as much success as he had at two blue blood programs like that. And just the smarts, the communication skills. He's one of the best safeties that I've ever evaluated. So if Delane or Caleb Downs is there for them at number 9 overall, it'll be home run picks for the Chiefs.
Yeah, Downs, especially for me, seems like the kind of guy that Steve Spagnuolo could have a lot of fun with, like a jack of all trades kind of safety who could blitz, cover, play the run, all that stuff. We'll see if he makes it to number 9. I think it'd be a tough decision to pass on him. Let's say the Chiefs go a different direction at number 9, though, and at 29 are thinking defensive back. Who are some names that you like?
Well, one that comes to mind for me is Colton Hood out of Tennessee. He's another player that, like we see from a lot of players in this year's college landscape, a transfer. He was a 3-time transfer, been at multiple stops prior to that. But as a redshirt sophomore, I think he's very fluid. He's very instinctive. He's a really good tackler as well as awesome ball skills too. So if he's there at 29, he's one that makes a lot of sense. Then also Avion Terrell out of Clemson. I think he's a player that's been very underrated throughout the process, but I think he belongs in that first tier of cornerbacks. And I know you guys just got rid of or traded Trent McDuffie, I should say, but he is very reminiscent of Trent McDuffie when he was coming out of Washington, a little bit undersized, but very feisty. He can play nickel. He can play outside as well. So Avion Terrell, I think he's another player that definitely should be in consideration at 29. But I do want to give you an underrated name that you shouldn't be shocked if you do hear his name on draft day, and it is Chris Johnson out of San Diego State. He's one player that definitely is climbing up draft boards. He was the co-defensive player of the year in the Mountain this past season, has terrific ball skills, really good wrap up and finish tackler as well. So Chris Johnson out of San Diego State is an underrated name to keep an eye on.
Yeah, definitely some options there at the back end of the first round. I'm glad you made that McDuffie comp with Terrell, though, because when I was watching him, especially blitzing off the edge, that's all I could think about is, man, this reminds me a lot of Trent McDuffie. Big shoes to fill if he ends up here, but We'll see. Now, Brett Veach has found a lot of success over the years finding kind of gems at corner or at safety in the later rounds. Guys like Jalen Watson in the 7th round, Brian Cook a couple years ago in the 2nd round. Any guys that you like on day 2 or day 3 at defensive back that could make sense for the Chiefs?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a terrific cornerback class, honestly. If they do want to wait till day 2, one that makes a lot of sense to me is Davison Igbinosun out of Ohio State. A big physical corner at about 6'2", 195 pounds. His just ability to recover, I think, is really, really good. He was a little bit handsy prior to this season, but he cleaned that up quite a bit. As far as a technician, I think he's one of the better technicians overall in this year's class. So Davison Igbinosun out of Ohio State is one name to keep an eye on. Charles Demings out of Stephen F. Austin is another name to keep an eye on if you're looking for a day 3 gem that Brett Veach has been able to find in years past. He was a very explosive tester. I think he's very scheme versatile as well. So he's equally as good at man coverage as he is in zone coverage as well. Has really good ball skills as well. So Charles Demings is one name to keep an eye on day 3.
All right. Well, like I said, Brett has found so much success in the later rounds at corner specifically over the years. We'll see if he can do it once again here in this one. Last question for you, and you touched on this a little bit. How would you evaluate the depth of this year's class at both safety and corner? Can the Chiefs find good players that can come in and contribute in the later rounds at those spots, do you think?
Without question. I think this is a great year, specifically for the Chiefs. If they do have a need at corner and safety, this is a great year at both positions. I mean, I have a ton of draftable grades on both players at each position. And even if you miss out on corner in the first round or you don't get one that you want, I think you can find starters well into the fourth and the fifth round, specifically in this year's class. So don't panic, Chief fans, if you don't take a corner or a safety on day one. There's plenty to be found on day 2 and day 3 of this year's draft.
Well, Jordan, this is awesome stuff. I appreciate you. We're almost there, man. Hang in there.
Thank you as always, Matt.